We all know how important retention is in a business, not only just for the bottom line, but for culture, for dynamic, for progression. There's so much that's involved in a successful business when retention of keeping their staff is high. And if you think that you can keep them just by paying them money, I'm afraid that's wrong. The world has moved on so much more than that these days, and you have to be ahead of really looking after your people, investing in your people to really take them forward, to make sure they give back to you as much as you're giving to them. Number one for our business is communication, communication, communication. If you don't have communication in a business, then it ultimately is never going to be successful. But it's more than just giving space for people to talk. You really have to listen to their opinion, ensure that they feel valued, and taking that a step further and letting them see the value they're adding to your business and really grow the business together. That is truly how you get people invested in a business for the long term, and they become pillars of your company. Another important point for the business is definitely fairness and transparency, because with having an open door policy and for people to really see the inner workings of what's going on, they're so much more invested, and they can really see why is so important for anyone to be motivated. Because if the people within your business don't understand why, they simply will not be engaged. They won't have the heart to really drive forward on the bad days, to have that consistency to work for your business. Be clear about what your business needs. Find the people who are going to be part of your business, but invest in them. Give them the tools, the support, the advice, and ultimately the space to be able to grow within your business. That's truly how people nourish and flourish within a business. It's definitely important for someone to feel valued within a business. They need to feel respected. They need to feel that they're an individual within a business. And really, they need to feel that they're part not only of a team, but of your company. They understand the values, they understand where the business is going. And also, they need to see that their contributions are actually being listened to and going as part of the business moving forward. There also needs to be the individual element of understanding what their strengths are as an individual and not just pigeonholing them into a role, really tailoring roles as much as possible around their individual strengths. And ultimately, that's how you will get the most out of that individual and ensure you're getting maximum buy-in, maximum efficiency, and it's sort of a win-win situation, really. And once that individual can see the path within your business, that's where, again, it all circles back to high retention, people that believe in your business, and really people that are there to grow and take your business forward, rather than always having to start from scratch and rebuild that in again. And also, having that high retention, not only is it damaging to the bottom line, but it also affects the culture deeply. Nobody wants to be in a business where it's one in, one out. As much as salary and rewards are not number one, they also can't be overlooked either. You need to stay competitive with salaries. You need to think of ways that you can reward your employees and really give them back. For example, thinking of the parts to sort of go away. Do you give them a day off to do charity work? Do you give them a day to be able to spend time with their family? Here at DeLacy, we make sure everyone has their birthdays off as additional leave to sort of really show that we care and give back to the individuals. It's those little sort of 1%ers that don't affect the business but mean a lot to that individual. That's really where you gain value. So many incentives you can give as a business, but again, you have to get the balance between the individual incentives and the business and making it viable too. So for example, there's nothing to hold you back from speaking to that individual and seeing what really ultimately motivates them, and putting those on KPIs, on success-driven targets. So then you're not putting your business at risk, but you're making it mutually beneficial. You could have thresholds to really reward those people that are going above and beyond. You could have a commission-based incentives, which are pretty standard. But on top of that, you could do a company performance or bonus, which really ensures that everyone feels part of a team and you're all building towards something together, rather than just having this individual out for themselves sort of culture that can also come in certain businesses. Do not underestimate the value of training in your business. It is so important. It has been recorded, the percentage of people that actually value being in a business that continuously supports, trains people throughout their whole career within a company. And again, tailor it around the individual. There might be someone who you can see is struggling in a particular area. For example, someone who might be in a sales role. It sounds simple, but if they're in a sales role and maybe they don't have very good listening skills, then they are never ultimately going to be as successful as they could be in that. So you can, send that individual on a course that is tailored around listening skills. It doesn't have to be one fits all with training. Don't get me wrong, team training is great, and there's definitely a place for it. Everyone can come together. It's again helps with culture and bringing the team together as a whole, but you need to again be focusing on what the individual needs to get the most out of them. Never underestimate the small things you do that have high impact to that individual. So for example, just coming in and making sure you're saying hello to everybody individually in your team, making sure that you say thank you to them, not only to them personally, but again in front of the whole team. Areas like that make such a difference. They give validation to a person, they make them feel their worth. And I think they can get overlooked by a lot of companies. So just ensure those small things are really being done. For example, letting somebody know when they've done a good job, really rewarding them for picking out the parts that they should be doing. That is so important. Sending round an email to the team to acknowledge someone that's done something great when someone gets praise. Getting recommendations as we do here and sharing them with the team. We even have a board here that really shares everyone's success stories, so other people that come in that are newer to the business can read them. All these little things really do add up, and they really do make that person feel special and contribute to your business. Ensure that you have a very clear pathway for every employee you have in the business. It really does make a difference by having internal moves within a company. For example, 64% of employees said they're more likely to stay within a business if they've had an internal move within 3 years. And if that move isn't there, then you are more likely for them to move on. For example, 45% of people said if they've not had an internal move, they are more likely to look at pastures new. Having the right managers in your business is really important. And I appreciate it takes a lot of time to make people feel like individuals as a business. You have to have not only team meetings, but you have to have individual support sessions and regular support sessions as well. That really makes that person have that time and space to be able to talk to their manager. That is definitely one of the areas I could not promote more. But again, this all has to be factored in. It's very strategic planning and thinking of how you're going to make sure you make the most of that time with that individual. Having the right managers in place within a business is vital. This is why you really need to ensure you're employing or promoting the right people into the role. They have to be someone that can influence and can really steer people in the right direction for them. They have to be someone that has patience, who understands the need for not only to talk to the team, but also to talk with individuals within. For example, having regular one-to-one support sessions to really give that person they're managing the time and the space to be able to see what they need, and to also check in on them. Because if the person's not in the right place mentally, even the best will in the world, you won't be able to get the best out of them. And those sessions are really invaluable to make sure everyone, again, feels their worth and really is in the right headspace moving forward for the business. We are in a new era where hybrid working has become the norm now. And again, you have to look at your individual business and what works for you. And if that is of high value to your employees, I would suggest it's something that you do look at. And you will have to adapt. You will have to adapt your style as a business, the management within. There's some people that you would then have to speak to more regularly when they're potentially working from home. You'll have to think about the avenues that you will be talking to them. Will it be over video? Will it be over chat? How regularly do you need to talk to them? What factors have you put in place? What expectations have been put in place for them to be able to work from home? For example, is it that if they are doing their job, they're hitting their targets, they then get that as a benefit? Or is it they get it as standard? These are all the questions you need to be thinking about and ensuring that you are doing intentionally rather than not having the awareness of that makes them right for your business. Also, you have to look at your team and the dynamic. There's some teams, for example, you might have a younger team and they have different things that might have different weightings of value to them. For example, social outings might be much more higher on their value list than somebody else. You have to really hear what the majority of your team is wanting and then go around those demands of how you plan your business. It's really important that you take the time to celebrate achievements within a business. So, for example, even if those are on an individual or on a team basis, so many businesses will, give a quick yay and then move on to the next thing. You have to make sure you take the time to stop, pause, and really thank everyone that has been involved in that success. For example, even if it's a simple case of giving everyone a high five, don't underestimate how that, deliberate high five makes that person feel empowered. If someone is successful, having a space where all of the team can communicate and everyone can react to that success and feel part of it, of what that's going to do for the overall picture for the business. It's so important, and so many businesses don't actually factor that into their plan, and it can get lost. And that is more than a 1%er. That's a 10%er that would make that person feel valued and really, really part of something in that business that so many forget or don't have the time or to even do. For example, it might even be putting out a bowl that someone could go to, whether it be something like chocolates in it, to be able to sort of give a high five and get a bit of reward at the end. That's, as I say, it will be different for every individual, and it will be different for every department in a business. It might even be one department does something which sits better with the dynamic and the culture they have within their department, and another department has something else. But again, you can ask the team, you can say, what would you find more rewarding out of these options, to really make them feel like they're contributing. Have a session, have a collaboration session to make them feel part of it. There's so many areas that can, as I say, really, really help people come together as a team and feel valued as an individual. I appreciate it might sound like a simple idea, but one thing I know that really works well with our team is just going for a walk, taking the time to step away from the office. We're right by a river here. So I'll say, come on, let's go and have 30 minutes. Let's go and walk down to the river and just having a chat, still around business, but it's all a bit lighter and really getting to know who they are and how they feel and how they're viewing things within the business and the team. That time is so valuable. And I always get good reports back from the individuals from doing that. So just another idea to maybe consider. Ultimately, someone that does not feel valued in a business, that is not a lost cause. There's so much you can do to help steer and turn that individual around. There's so many people we interview for roles here that say they want to move on from a company because they're not being promoted, they don't feel listened to, they don't feel valued. But ultimately, you can tell they don't actually want to leave that company. A lot of them actually want to stay where they are. They just want to feel listened to. And that's all that company has to do to keep them. So many companies will try and put a plaster over a bullet wound by giving that person more money to stay. But again, that doesn't work. You have to review more than money to get that person to stay within your company. You have to give them the time, the space, listen to them, see what they want, and work together on a plan of how to keep them in the business. Ultimately, it can be turned around, but you have to work together. We've had situations in the past where we've interviewed people ourselves for people that have moved on from a company, or they're looking to come to our company because they don't feel supported, they haven't been promoted, and the company they've been with ultimately haven't been ticking their boxes. And they will often say when we're interviewing them, how do I know your culture will be better? How do I know you're going to offer me the support I need with the opportunity to come and work with you? And one thing that I find most powerful in that situation, because as much as I could sit there and tell them, yes, we're the best, yes, we will support you, yes, we will look after you, essentially those are only really my words. And one thing I will often do is that situation is I will say, ask them, ask somebody in our team, would you like me to pull somebody in here right now? And you can have a one-on-one session with them and really ask them what it is like to work in this company, to show that you have the confidence to do that. And you're giving them them and the individual a space just to be able to talk and have those really honest conversation, I think speaks more about your confidence in your company than anything else really. And again, it's such a simple thing, but a lot of companies don't give that time and space to be able to do that. But all this being said, it's important to remember that words have their limit. Ultimately, it's ensuring that you keep to your promises. That's really where you can add value to every individual within your team.